I got caught slipping.
Um, all right, we're live.
On everything.
Yep.
What's up, YouTube? What's good, IG? How you doing, Facebook? What's up, Twitch, Twitter, Tweech? I'm an old man. I don't really know what these youngsters are doing nowadays when it comes to this live streaming stuff. But hello, world and the interwebs. My name is Prophet. You are tuning in to the what's today? Wednesday? Berkeley. You are tuning into the Berkeley Poetry Slam, and we have a great show prepared for you today. We have a short list, but I know it's going to be a very powerful and impactful one. But before we get started with today's show, I'd like to just let you know a little bit about our organization and how we get down. So, today's show is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Over the last year, these monthly donors have been holding it down and ensuring that we are able to artistically and financially support the poets, artists, and educators that we bring on our virtual stages. None of this would be possible or sustainable without your continued support. So we want to thank our patrons. Uh, Somebody just said, why did I turn into an infomercial? Because some infomercials are good for you. And this particular one is just showing love to the people who show love to us. So in particular, Alice Nami, Melody Montgomery, John Ramakowitz, Stephanie Yaboa, Renee Edmonds, Emily Chow, and Kayla Lilly. Thank you for risking it for the biscuit with us. Thank you to Jessica Kozachick for sponsoring one of our weekly workshops. And a special, extra, if I have your consent to at least, huge shout out and thank you and hug, if you consent to a hug, to Alice Grimm and Rebecca Abram for pledging $100 a month in support of our venue, the Allen Bluford Center for Justice. Our average donation is $11 a month, and that means that for less than the price of a Netflix subscription, you can support a global literary and performing arts movement. If you enjoy what you are seeing or just love the arts or believe in reparations and the liberation of third world people, head over to patreon.com/Rich Oak Events. That is patreon.com/Rich Oak Events, or donate to us via Cash App, hashtag Rich Oak Events, or Venmo at Rich Oak Slam. Thank you for your support, and now on with the show. So, growing up, in Richmond, I know I'm doing the Berkeley Slam, but now we're going to talk about where I'm from. Growing up in Richmond, I was always a rebel. I had a very rebellious spirit. I was such a rebel. I was a gigantic fan of the Oakland Raiders until they decided to be the Traitors. And because of this hatred of anything traditional, like I never really liked rules. I was a Raider fan, so screw rules. But in a poetry slam, rules are actually valid. They're actually important. I've learned that there's a reason for them. Like, it took being an adult to learn this, but yes, sometimes we need rules. And for the poets, we only have a couple of them. You have 3 minutes to share whatever you want. You get a 10-second grace period. That makes 3 minutes, 10 seconds. Points will be deducted after that 10-second grace period. And at 4 minutes, you will be muted, and or there's going to be some music playing, in the middle of your poem. And then once that happens, it's no longer the middle of your poem. I'm so sorry. But yes, hopefully we won't have to be that awkward tonight. There are no props, no musical accompaniment. And because of the short list we have tonight, everybody makes it to second round. You make it to second round. You make it to second round. You make it to second round. So that is going to be lit. I'm super excited to see all the poets. And the next item on the list, unfortunately, is ancestral gaslighting, aka the tradition of word of the day. What's the word of today? Well, my nerdy friend Merriam-Webster says that emeritus is the word of the season and of the day today. Emeritus is an adjective. It means holding after retirement an honorary title corresponding to that held last during active service, or retired from an office or position. If you somehow find a way to incorporate emeritus, emerituses, or emeriting, finding some way to incorporate that word into your poem, you get a point, you get a point, you get a point. All right. Sometimes that point will be the difference between placing, meaning winning money, or like winning the whole thing. So I suggest that you do with it what you will. Audience, um, there are rules for you, but I want to get to the next people on the participants list, and that is the judges. The judges probably have the hardest job, maybe the second hardest job to like performing your deepest, darkest secrets and ideas and ideals in front of a bunch of strangers. But yeah, so like one of the hardest jobs of the night is putting points to poetry. And even though that's a really shitty job to have, somebody's got to do it. So judges, you are scoring between a zero point 0 and a 10.0. A 0.0 is like finding out that Malcolm X was a complete fraud. Like he didn't stand for anything, and everything that he said he stood for was completely wrong. It's like finding out that Martin Luther King was in a crack den 30 years before crack was invented. It's like finding out that Martin Luther King was the world's first crackhead. Like a 0.0 is chattel slavery in 2021 or human trafficking in 2021. It's just like the worst thing that you've ever fucking thought about. And a 10.0 is like world peace. It's like all the nuclear weapons just disintegrating, like where they sit. It's like all the dictators around the world just get a heart attack, and then like the rest of us regular folks just find a way to live peacefully with the planet. Like, it's like all the wrongs that have ever been done in life have been made right. So you're not going to see a whole lot of zeros. You're not going to see a whole lot of tens. And there's this really weird thing that happens at slams where just magically, because of a little bit of Drake or a little bit of Dank, the poetry just magically gets better. It just hits different, man. So the scores also magically get better, but that's not fair to the people who go first. So please do be fair to all the poets who perform, regardless of what order they're in. Audience, I told you I wasn't going to let you off the hook. So I need you to like, share, and subscribe to our IG, Twitter, and Facebook accounts at Berkeley Slam on IG and Twitter. And you can find us at Facebook at Berkeley Poetry Slam. Comment on the feed. Let the poets know how much you love their poems and what they have to say. Be way more enthusiastic than you would be at a slam in person. Because speaking into a void sucks, and no one wants to have to do that. So the fact that you were there listening is life affirming for poets and for artists. It lets us know that not only are we healing ourselves, we might actually help someone else be able to process their pain and heal from the things that happen from us sharing our stories. So, dude, please let us know how it impacts you. But freedom of speech, not the same thing as freedom from accountability. So that means, unfortunately, if you say something out of pocket, you might get backhanded verbally, like via the interwebs, or what you say online might have consequences in person, because, some homies don't play that, like, homie the clown. So, yeah. Please do be encouraging. Please do be supportive. But if you have any isms that you like to get off your chest, know that there will be consequences for that. So, with that said, we are ready to start our show. Are we ready to start though? Are we? I feel like something's missing. There's like some chicken that ain't got no pepper, no onion powder on it, like no seasonings on it. Like there's a spice missing. What is that? Oh yeah, a sacrificial lamb, poet. Somebody to kind of calibrate the judges and get them ready for the show to start. What poor dummy would want to be the first person to be judged? Who would want to be the idiot that has to calibrate the judges and like share like his deepest, darkest thoughts with strangers and stuff to be judged? Fuck it, I'll volunteer. So, first round sacrifice coming up to the stage is Prophet.
Woo! Yeah!
Vámonos.
By the way, poets, if you ask for a not a time check, but a mic check or give a content warning, you will not be penalized. And the time will not start. Sometimes I lie awake, and when I do, I dream of better days. Yeah, I completely dropped the poem, so I'm gonna start something else. Wow. Wow, I haven't done that poem in years. The gentrification of Richmond's impatiently waiting to get us debating our placing it, basing eviction from basis and racist intentions, replacing the tenants through rates so ridiculous, pay these outrageously plaintive expenses or vacants the fate of the place where you stay. We split with no wages or representation that give us a way to live in the bay. Prayers for those who believe it, not only streets where the heathens are bleeding, deceased from a beef that precedes them, policing that beats them, to weaknesses weeded, and all hope is fleeting. My city has pride with a purpose. It's highly deserted from nightly disturbance. Nobody to service. Our lives have been worthless because violence is surging. We die or survive in the gutter with urgency, hustling for currency. Earning G's daily is crazy. The same hood that loved me and made me can hate me, and one day might murder me. And first degree certainly. I've suffered through the toughest of troubled, maladjusted youth. I've seen fiends with scuffed up shoes, puffing fumes of drugs and booze, but hard times and struggle got a funny way of humbling you. When the crime rate wave one time gon' parade daily to all the blocks you was raised in. Gotta find your way, cause they lying in wait, decaying on this grindstone pavement. Never let them take your mind, keep your heart light. Through all of the fire and dark nights, though the ghetto's a hell of a hard life and nobody acknowledges our plight. I come from a slum that was almost defeated. The wicked I've witnessed, you'd hardly believe it. A cycle where death is more constant than rain. By the way, shall to spray the Lord come in today. Why did the bank take my house away? Worked 3 jobs to stay, but rent high in the bay. See, my fam's full of pimps, pushers and preachers, hustlers out grinding, panthers and teachers. I'm working so hard, the clock hands are bleeding, had hella friends, but so if you call me when needed. Homeless, I struggled alone in the jungle, roaming the stone when most others would crumble. I rose to be humble, my throne is the rubble. My home is with those that chose to be troubled with holding me up. I owe them eternally much. I know I can trust, but show I was raised on blocks hot with game. I've seen blocks cocked and aimed, bodies shot and left dropped in flames, near a nocturnal train, blood-stained tears, cops and chains. Somebody is discarding charring remains, felonious monks, holding a pump. My community is molding to dust. It's hopeless as fuck, because most of us stuck in most potent of ruts. Tell me why my whole block is writhing in pain. It's not gonna change. My cousin was shot in the brain. 3 years later, my brother's psychotically slain. A block from my cousin insane. Is the logic of fate. Justice does not come in play, and it never did, not to this day. So my mama ain't safe. I'm psychologically scathed. How do I plot an escape from these corners with menaces turned into savages? Souls deformed by significant poverty's damages. Look at the images. Cities are ravaged through feds are sick and sadistic. They bust when they capture you. The road to survival is a hassle that tackles you. So we find hope in religious figures that shackle you. Revolution is imminent struggle in bundles. Fighting death and imprisonment, walk through the jungle. Revolution is imminent struggle in bundles. Fighting death and imprisonment, walk through the jungle. Thank you. All right. Give it up for the poet. Give it up for the poet. All right, thank you. So as the judges are tabulating the scores, that they are going to be sitting to the scorekeeper who will tabulate the scores. Remember, judges, you don't have to worry about the word of the day. You just send your score to the scorekeeper ASAP. Why am I stalling? We have a whole ass show. So for the actual slam, we have My Lord, we have Nicole Tracy, we have Esperanza Calabres, Calabres, and then we have Reggie. So I am so sorry for butchering your last name. If you don't mind, I would just call you Esperanza because I don't want to disrespect you or your name. I apologize. But once again, we have Nicole Tracy, we have Esperanza, and we have Reggie. This is going to be a extra lit ass list. So I am stoked. So when I say you are in the hole, that means that you are third up from the stage. If I say that you are on deck, that means that you're not about to touch the mic, but you're next up after the person about to touch the mic. And if I say like being born or coming up, that means that you're like about to perform like right now. So in the hole is Esperanza, on deck is Nicole Tracy, and being born, aka coming up to the stage, is someone whose name says it all. My Lord. Give it up for my.
Woo! Hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I want to give a content warning for homophobia, specifically in like a church setting or in Christianity. You were a good woman of God. The old white bitches at church use past tense for good, not woman. Old white bitches still see me as woman, still want to drown me in unholy water until I cough up all the queer or die. Shirley from church used to play with my hair, called me a good little girl. Now she talks shit with the offering plate in hand, gives me up to a God that she thinks can fix something that was never broken in the first place. White flowers overflow the altar every week. Stained glass lets the light in, polished wood on every pew. Only sinners come to a church, though. Only sinners need a God they think will save them. Confessionals were the only place I ever lied in that church. Reverends studied skin through grates, devoured the last of any hope. The darkness of that seat was akin to the hell spoken of in sermons. People preached about saints, used a sanctuary as an excuse for judging what they thought to be a sinner. I was always a sinner to them. You cannot commit a sin to a God you don't believe in. You cannot turn your back on a church that never took you in. You cannot be sent away to a hell that was always here. Shirley told me the ways I could cut the devil out of me, quoted scripture and twisted it into a death sentence. Old white bitches shoved a Bible in my face and showed me how a blackout poem of any page would read as a suicide note. The pastor emeritus now drinks his life away, a so-called sinner the second his work is done. This church, the birthplace of finality. Sermons created deathbeds. Pastors prayed in hospital pews for loved ones. So-called Christians created the casket to my loved ones. This church, the culmination of fatality. Isn't that how the Bible reads anyways? Everyone returns to dust. God sent down the floods to destroy his creation. Jesus slaughtered for whoever. A false translation created to excuse the massacre of bodies too similar to mine. The church took me, drowned me in false praise and moments made for eulogy, slaughtered me in false translation suited for excuse to kill. I've been crucified by a confessional box that never really wanted the truth. Thank you.
Please give it up for my. You know, the quality of your poetry is so far beyond your age. It is ridiculous, sibling. Thank you for sharing that piece. Man, this is a lit ass start to the slam. Our sacrificial poet received a 25.0 after a pretty lengthy time penalty. So please show love to the poet, not the scores. And just to give y'all the order once again, in the hole will be Reggie. On deck is going to be Esperanza. And coming up to the stage right now, not right now, but right now, is Nicole.
Nicole, yay! I love Nicole. Mic check.
We can hear you.
We hear you.
Welcome to college. Here is your orientation packet. Page 1 details all about how we call college an investment, but really it is just a trick to see how much debt you can take out, so that when you have your degree at the end of it, but no job will pay you enough to afford to live, eat, and pay off your loans, you'll be told it was your choice. The first stop on our campus tour today is the Ivory Tower. This is where all the legacy kids hang out, waiting to be called King of Parties Emeritus after graduation. They throw money around like it's a competition. Who can waste more money? Who can pay the most to buy their grades? Whose parents can write the biggest check to get them out of the biggest trouble? Don't worry, they will make every moment known that you are the one who doesn't belong, because in their world, money will always beat hard work. Next on our campus tour is the bookstore. We suggest you buy from here because your tuition does not turn enough of a profit, and you have not made enough friends to warn you that this is in fact a scam. Books cost double or triple what they would online, and you will learn that the hard way. Our next stop is the Quad. You'll notice this is where we take diversity photos for the website to prove that we are not the white institution that our 75% white student body would lead you to believe. We recommend setting out here to get fresh air instead of studying in the library. Speaking of the library, that's our next stop. Now, while you can find many of your textbooks here, we still recommend buying them from the bookstore. Remember, freshmen, if you came to college to study, go to the library. If you came to college to party, go anywhere else on campus. Speaking of parties, I want to pass down the wisdom upperclassmen women told me. Always leave with the same people you went in with. There is a way to hold your drink so that you can cover the top of it. This will become an instinct for you. Never accept an open container. Just say, I don't like that kind of beer. Repeat after me. Rugby house parties have windows, walls, and roofies. I promise to help another young and vulnerable freshman with this knowledge. Speaking of, make sure to spend your first 2 years working your ass off. Class, clubs, volunteer work. That way, you can get as many unpaid internships as possible your junior and senior year. Be warned, grown adult professional men will behave just as badly as college boys. But this time, there are no consequences for them. They make the rules and will always find themselves innocent. We are just preparing you for a lifetime of doing unpaid emotional labor for some dick swinger who benefits from nepotism and think that to be a good thing. You will work 10 times harder and still have it be called a handout. But don't worry, once you are in charge, you can change the system, rewrite the rules, show men the way out, and help another woman on her way up.
Woo! Woo!
Thank you so much for sharing that poem, Nicole. I love how, like, every time I hear one of your poems, it's, you know, it just feels like a glimpse into like a memory of yours or an experience you had, and like just the details of it. Like I just really love it every time you come to our slam and share your truth and share your story. So thank you so much for that. So if you give me a second to get my act together, I believe that on deck is Reggie, and coming up to the stage, I'm gonna bring up another poet. But before I do that, I have to plug a couple of things. So Nicole has nearly perfect attendance at all of our writing workshops. And before every show at 7 p.m. for the Alchemy Slam and for the Alchemy Open Mic, Oakland Poetry Slam, and Berkeley Poetry Slam, we have a 7 o'clock writing workshop just to get your creative juices flowing. You know, you're not required to share. Sometimes the workshop is led by one of our organizers. Sometimes we have like one of our feature poets come in and facilitate the workshop, but it's always worth coming to. And it's a huge help if you don't fancy yourself as a consistent enough writer to consider yourself a writer. These writing workshops very much so help you with that. The score for our previous poet, Mai, is a 28.5, by the way. And one last announcement I have to make is that, we need to up our engagement on our socials and stuff. So know that no matter what scores like these judges dish out, the point is always the poetry, not the points, like Arvin just said in the chat. And also, like, we're here because Poetry Slam is usually like church for like us heathenist souls that, like go to church on a Sunday morning and be like, I feel judged. I don't feel loved right now. Coming to Poetry Slams is like, it's church where the sinners turn into saints to hear the truth spoken all night. And I love that about poetry, and I love that about slam. And Nicole just said this is the only church that she goes to weekly, and I very much agree with that. So, I appreciate you coming and having communion with us and building community with us, because it is super important to have that. Please make sure you follow us at Berkeley Slam, at Oakland Slam, and at Rich Oak Alchemy on Twitter and IG, so that you could stay abreast of everything that we have going on. Now that I've blabbed enough, let me remind you that Reggie is on deck. And coming up to the stage now is Esperanza.
Hey!
Woo.
Hey, girl. Oh, yeah.
What am I scared of? Anxiety, death, dying, forgetting, living, tight spaces. You've never looked better. Needles. I don't know where you began, but I can tell you your time is almost up. Alcoholism, family, friends. I know you can't wait for me to fill my first hard cup to join those I've lost before, and death. Why are you haunting me still? Too many loss to all of you. Debt, death, dues, and all I have to lose. I regret, and with each regret, I forget that I'm only strong because I've had to face each of you. Sometimes I forget that, but that's just when anxiety greets me, holds me until I wish only for the numbness that is the lack of you. Anxiety.
Give it up for Esperanza.
Let's go. Short form poetry. Yes.
So thank you so much for sharing it home. Yeah, more love. Awesome. More love. I love love, especially when it's super deserving. Everybody that's touched the stage thus far is so deserving of love. I'm so glad that we haven't, had an appearance of my mortal enemy. our mortal enemy. I'm not going to say her name. I'm not going to say its name, but they know who they are, and I'm glad that android or whatever whatever she is. I am glad that like we have been making enough noise to where we don't have to uh, hear anything creepy tonight. So let's keep up the good work. Also, I don't know if I liked your poem the most. Actually, yes, it was definitely the poem, but like the swag with the glasses, like the background, like looked like it was super chill. It was like it just looked like you were having like you turned like your office into a poetry slam, and I love that. Like it was the full shebang. If I was a judge tonight, you would get like an extra piece of a point for the aesthetic. Like I love it. I love it all. But thank you so much for sharing your poem. And I look forward to hearing what everybody has to say in round two. But the only way to get to round two is if I, one, give you Nicole's score, which was a 28.4, and two, bring up the last poet of the stage, not for the slam, but for the round. So please show your love to my sibling, Reggie.
Reggie, go Reggie, go Reggie, go
Let's
Reggie.
go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Indeed.com.
Girlhood. Noun. Definition. An inheritance that does not feel earned despite all the blood shed because of my proximity to it. Example. I wish I didn't have to sacrifice myself for my own safety, but I don't shave so I can walk downtown at night and not become the next forgotten name kept only alive in the Twitter threads of the few people that actually give a damn. Boyhood. Noun. Definition. A weapon I did not ask for, but still keep tucked underneath the floorboards in case someone decides that today is the day I deserve to die. Example. There's a knife hidden between the folds of every dress I own. I have my will prepared and stashed between the bed frame and the mattress. Story goes, all Black boys do is die before they become men. My cousins choked on lead while I choked on flowers that only bloom in another boy's hands. Example. Once, a boy tried to convince me that his fist was a rose, and he forced me to swallow each curled petal finger until I gagged, until the man he swore I could be, nigga, was gender neutral until it wasn't. Example, you a nigga, you a whole ass nigga, bitch, he screamed as he scraped the feminine from my bones, bitch. Noun, definition, nothing. Example, before I was not man enough for all of me to beat the street lights home, I was strapped up or tucked back penis, cocked back gun tucked into the waistband of the panties I stole from Target last summer. Nigga. Noun. Definition. Nothing. Example. Before I was not woman enough, I was butchered meat left for the carrion men who salivate over the bones picked clean by better predators. I am a sum of all the parts that are trying to murder the other. My gender is the grief held hostage in the body that I want to both change and keep for dear life. I am what I say I am. Example, winged eyeliner on Tuesday and hollow points on Saturday. All my father's rage bound in my mother's grace. I am a nigga bitch. Nigga as in surviving, bitch as in everything. Example, I could hit a lick in Louis Vuitton heels. I could walk the runway with steel bulging in my underwear. There is magic in surviving the unsurvivable. Example, I am slay before slain. My edges laid before I am laid to rest. All my femme, loving all my Black, loving all of me, back to life.
Give it up.
Woo!
Somebody said they had me at hit a lick. I respect all of y'all's gangster. Damn, the judges really do have the second hardest job of the night, which is like not only putting points to poetry, but having to like compare poets and like rank who they like more and stuff. That is hard as hell because everybody that touched the stage tonight has been fucking phenomenal. I am super looking forward to round two. But before I get started with round two, I want to remind y'all that if you aren't watching on YouTube right now, you can watch us on YouTube every show, every week at Bay Poets Unite. We have about 200 plus subscribers. We are trying to build up our subscriber base. We are trying to be the West Coast version of a couple of poetry YouTubes that you are very familiar with that I won't say. But yeah, something along the lines of sewing and knitting poetry, something along the lines of like contemplate about the future, you know. Yeah, something, you know, I don't really know the names, but they are very good platforms, and we are establishing ours. That said, I think we are ready for round dos and to get it started.
Prophet, I never sent you the scores for Esperanza or Reggie. I'm doing that right now for round one. My bad.
Perfect. Nah, you're fine. You're fine. I was trying to stall, but I thought that you had sent it, so I was about to like, all right, let me go into the chat. All right. So my bad. Sorry for that, folks. Basically, Esperanza got a 27.2. I am about to get the score for the last poet of the first round. But as we are still calculating that score, I was about to say, I just got a score that was so low, I was about to talk some shit that was about to get the live taken down, but then it was instantly corrected. So I am so glad I didn't blow my top. So the last score, I mean, if it was that score, it's that score, but I was going to talk something. I was going to say something, you know, no matter who it was, like, dang, like, really? That's how you feel? Like, you hurt my feelings and I ain't even got nothing to do with it. But I was wrong. I can't read. I'm sorry. I was public school educated. Reggie received a 28.5. Yes, a 28.5. Esperanza for round one received a 27.2. And the order for the second round goes as follows. Whatever the first round was, but flipped. So that means Reggie will go first, followed by Esperanza, followed by Nicole Tracy, and then rounding out the slam is going to be my lord. So basically, the judges, your job is going to be much harder now because now you have a whole new round to judge. And instead of taking a break or allowing some dust to settle, we're just going to jump right into the second round. So in the hole is Nicole. That didn't sound right. I am sorry. Sorry. I didn't like it. As soon as it came out my mouth, I didn't like it. I am so sorry. But in the hole is Nicole Tracy. On deck is Esperanza. And then coming up to the stage right now, being born, crowning, however you would like to describe it, is Reggie.
Woo!
Can y'all hear me?
You can. Sam says, yes, we can.
Yeah.
The southern drawl of a lazy river that cut its way through the belly of Arkansas. Spilled gutted laughter. A sweet lullaby right before bedtime. The soft caress of a warm winter blanket. I have forgotten the sound of my grandmother's voice outside of these metaphors. This must be a second death. Third, if you count the time, I realized I only remembered what she looked like inside of the coffin. My grandmother is dead, and even her legacy has left me too. There are days where I forget my grief and in turn forget where I come from. My grandmother's smile splitting me in half one week, and then the next, it is gone. All of my memories turning to grains of salt. All the pictures in my mother's house full of ghosts. I forget the weight of a casket that I helped carry, and I stopped going to the cemetery. Now, all I remember is her absence, retired bereavement, flip-flop memorial, half mourning, half celebration for no longer mourning. I know that they say that healing is non-linear, but I feel like there are days where I take 5 steps back and nothing else. 10 steps back the next day and I'm moving backwards in time, erasing her memory from my childhood. With each part of myself grief rots away, I lose a detail of her. First her eyes, then her nose, last her smile. My great-grandmother is a faceless memory. Ghost of a ghost of a ghost of a ghost time. A cruel exorcist. My grandmother died with nothing worth leaving me physically except for her memory, and now that is gone too. You know, once I forgot the date she died and I didn't leave my house for a week. Once I forgot her name briefly and I swear I forgot a piece of myself forever. Now I repeat it every morning like a prayer. Gladys, please do not leave me like this. Loneliness is grief's closest friend, so I grasp at strands of her hair as she passes through my fingers, like water, like air, like all the things I didn't know that I would miss until they were already gone.
Give it up for Reggie.
Woo!
Woo! Let's go.
Yeah, Reggie,
Okay.
taking off my edges.
Okay, that's acceptable. That's acceptable. And somebody just said in the chat, Reggie, I'm honestly crying. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that. In the hole is my Lord. On deck is Nicole. And coming up to the stage right now, please give it up for Esperanza.
Woo! Let's go.
I've got a content warning for this. I'll say racism. Okay. When I think of what was stolen, it feels insurmountable, a heavy loss weighing down, a history now hard to trace, the people, all sorts of displaced. We are everywhere, all around. We are nowhere, waiting to be found. No one is being held accountable. No words exist for this level of corrosion. Those two have been taken. I am not of, I belong, and I do not. All I know is what is wrong, being told it is us for so long that despite decades of onslaught, centuries where our children were untaught, sent away to schools to fall prey, succumb to the ideal of a civilized mindset, do not be mistaken. Be not mistaken, cherished one. Civilized just means assimilated, stripped of, forced to reveal all so that someone else can steal it. They take, throw away what they find fit while they enjoy feeling powerful and tall, creating holes into which they force us to crawl. We are intoxicated, incarcerated, invalidated, called criminals, aliens instead of daughters or sons, words to dehumanize, rob us of our pride, of our life, then taught that our ancestors were savages, unworthy of the land and air they inherited, just as we must consider ourselves fortunate. Lucky to be American, don't you forget it. As number one, our pride is merited. The victors write history, ours remain edited. What do you call unapologetic rapists and killers? Savages. In the hands of the wrong people, to be free is to be held under a knife. We are taught not to take up too much space, make ourselves small, that our traditions, tongues, and values are outdated, that disease was the cause of our downfall, not manifest destiny, greed, gluttony, or guns. Those are all ideals, part of what makes America strong. The land was here for the taking, belonging to no one. It was obvious what to do. The land was sold and bought, people and animals too, distributed and renamed thereof, renamed as a united America, to be sold in parcels and plots. For the truest believers, those whose faith are still unshaken, the government sells and buys, taxes anyone or thing that takes up space. Today, you are a loyal citizen, but tomorrow you may find yourself forsaken. If you want to know what it means to not be white but brown, it means dealing with grief and tragedies that are uncountable, that where you came from may look ramshackle or run down, but our spirits do not stay broken. Our thoughts can't be stolen. This grief may feel, but is not insurmountable. The title of this poem is Genocide.
Ooh.
Okay, poet.
I know as the host, I'm supposed to be unbiased, but like after a dope ass poem like that, how can I not say it's a dope ass poem? But okay, I'll shut up. So on deck is my lord, and coming up next to the stage, I was gonna try to stall for scores, but I'm gonna just go ahead and power through, and we'll figure it out in a minute. Please give it up for the next poet coming to the stage, Nicole Tracy.
Woo!
Let's go.
Mic check.
We can hear you.
Content warning for intimate partner violence. Unsolicited advice on how to tell your partner you have been through hell. You can't forget to breathe. Exhaling is a part of breathing. You are allowed to stay or leave based on their reactions. If they ask if they can hold your hand, stay. If they hand you tissues as you cry, stay. No, this is the kind of love you deserved but didn't get from someone else. If they give a long, sympathy-filled apology, look at you with pity, and you shrink, exhale. Don't regret telling them, but leave. If they ask where someone left bruises and they leave new ones, don't marvel at the color your arm changed. Exhale and leave them. If they ask what you did to provoke them, do not answer. Leave them. Exhale. If they are jealous, all of your poems are about someone who hurt you. Smirk and tell them they are in a poem now. Do not stay for the material. Leave them. Be proud of yourself for recognizing signs of an unhealthy relationship. Be proud of yourself for being brave enough to leave. Know that this is not an easy decision, but it is the right decision. Doing what is best for you is not selfish. Do not blame yourself. You should not have known better. No parent gives you a guide on leaving an abusive partner. You learn as you go, you grow, you breathe, you exhale, you move forward. It is okay to have complicated feelings about the past. It's okay to smile about your first date. Remember why you were happy with him for a while. You know it was not all bad, that they are not an all bad person, but there is no excuse for hurting someone they claim to have loved. No number of good dates makes up for the pain you still feel. Some days it hurts more than other days. Remember, it is not your fault. It never was. It never will be. Inhale, exhale. Try and be the best thing for yourself today. Write without knowing where it will go, but knowing you will feel better at the end of it. Inhale, exhale. Remember, you are safe in your writing. You are safe here now.
Gang, 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 gang.
Yes, more noise, please.
And snaps work.
I am pleased. I am pleased. So thank you for sharing that deep ass poem, Nicole. Damn, I really appreciate you sharing that piece. So by the way, our first poet of round two, Reggie, received a 28.4. Esperanza received a 28.0. And while I have your attention while I'm back on the mic, I just wanted to remind you that if you really fuck with what we do in the community that we're building both online and that we've been building in person since before the pandemic started, please donate to our Venmo at Rich Oak Slam or donate to our Patreon at Rich Oak Events, because that support is like so crucial to our survival as an organization. Also, there are a couple of other Bay Area shows I'd like to shout out. The Santa Cruz Word Church has been on hiatus for the last couple of months, but I know that their organizers have been like in talks to start up a new in-person open mic soon, or maybe they just started doing it. I believe it's going to be happening on Saturdays. So in the future, we're going to be able to promote that show, but I still think that they are like finalizing it and like basically putting the finishing touches on starting a new open mic in Santa Cruz. So I look forward to being able to promote that. Is Queer Mountain still the thing? Is it still active? San Jose Poetry Slam, are they still going? Okay. San Jose is still going. Yes, I am so glad to know that our friends on the other side of the bay, on the south side of the bay, are doing all right. Good to know. As far as other shows, like for you to tap into, there are a lot of shows that have recently gone on hiatus or have been on hiatus since the pandemic. So like I'm gonna do a little bit of snooping to see like what other Bay Area shows that we could let y'all know about, because a lot of the ones that we have been promoting are taking breaks right now. But you can always come to Rich Oak Alchemy Slam every first and third Saturday on IG Live at Rich Oak Alchemy. It is like honestly lit. Like the other day we had drumming, singing, poetry. The first person that got on the mic was like just spitting hot fire bars. So like that, that is always a great choice. So every first and third Saturday we have Rich Oak Alchemy open mic on IG Live at Rich Oak Alchemy. Every third Tuesday we have the Oakland Poetry Slam and Writing Workshop. You could tap in on IG at Oakland Slam or on Facebook at Oakland Poetry Slam. Like that is always lit. It is our sister show. So we hope to see you third Tuesday of July when we are returning like for Oakland Slam. And remember, Berkeley Slam is every week. So we're going to be back here next week, same time. I'm probably not going to be hosting it, so different face, but same, same greatness. I'm talking about the slam, not me. I'm not cocky. So I blabbered long enough to be able to get the score for Nicole. So Nicole received a 28.4. We're going to applaud the poet and not the score. And I believe there's only one thing keeping people from getting paid and keeping, like the money from being dispersed and the slam being over. And that's this next poet that is going to end the show right. So please show your love for my Lord.
Woo!
Can y'all hear me okay?
I can hear
We
you.
hear you.
I want to give a content warning for addiction. Today, my mother and I sit in a Massachusetts home with our cradle board on the wall, waiting for a child of mine to need a new home. I sit too far from my mother's home to receive my own kinaalda, the crossing over of girl to woman, but this is the way it should be. Cradle board, noun, definition, a wooden board with holes where rope is threaded through to hold a child. My grandmother tells me a story of her daughter's birth. My grandfather was the doctor, the only one on the reservation. The medicine man praised my mother's body and cleansed her soul. Palo Santo burned and the body billowed in the wind. My grandfather and the medicine man both prayed over my mother's body to two different deities. Grandmother tells me another one story a day she'd say during the years spent at their home after school. She told me of the cradle board she built that my mother slept in. I slept in it too. Cradle board, noun, definition, a rough wooden board with withering rope laced up like a shoe so as to hold a child, where a baby is placed so that a mother can weave a blanket or cook or have rest from carrying another body. My mother has always been scratching at withering rope, tearing her way out of a home, always wanting to escape. She yells when bored and takes flights when angry. My grandmother was addicted to the love she gave away until she had none left. My mother became addicted to running away. I have been addicted to the pills. I am now afraid this is a new legacy of my bloodline. My grandmother tells me a story. Her students at the school never knew the name fourth grade. Grandmother only taught love and song. She says she learned more from the kids than they did from her. She speaks of how she loved to teach them in the grass outside the school, but I know it's because the state didn't give them money for desks. Cradle board, noun, definition, a means of resting, a means of keeping love close, a survival tool. Because Navajo children like to run into fire, as my grandmother says, like to play with rain, and Navajo children should be kept close. Because they are made of love and Palo Santo and Sowapias and fire. My grandmother says I'm fire. I wonder if I dance like my mother did in her school dance, always afraid to make a wrong move. Grandmother tells me a story of powwows and loose bottles crawling their way into hands, of alcohol in her grandmother's lap until the end. I wonder if she's happy she left. Today, my mother and I sit in a Massachusetts home with our cradle board on the wall, waiting for a child of my own to need a new home. I sit too far from my mother's home to receive my own kinaalda, the crossing over of girl to woman, but this is the way it should be. Cradle board, noun, definition, a means of storytelling, a home for hope. Thank you.
Make some noise, please, for my Lord. Some noise for my Lord.
Don't lie. Don't lie.
Woo!
Yes, man. Now that the last poet has gone, God damn, judges, your job is hard as fuck tonight. Wow. What the fuck? Sometimes when the list is kind of small, it's all right. Like I remember like during the in-person slam, there was like a night where it was like only 4 or 5 people that signed up, and I slammed, and I was like, man, like tonight was just all right. The virtual slams, like it's never just all right. It's always heat. Even when you think like, it's only like 3 people here, and all 3 people are fired, but there was 4 people. I got my wig blown back 4 times tonight, 8 times. Dang. I don't know if my edges could handle it if there were more people on the mic tonight. I just have to say, like, I very much so appreciate everybody that touched the stage tonight. No matter what the scores say, no matter what the rankings are or what the placements are, everybody is a winner because you got on the stage tonight and like showed that even in your most vulnerable moments, even in your weakest moments, or even when you're talking about your most vulnerable and weakest moments, it is often the times that you are the most strong or the most powerful. Oftentimes when we don't feel the most strong or the most powerful, when we are the most vulnerable, it's that injured tiger that's the most dangerous. And like, man, the fierceness that all the poets like just spit with tonight. Like, God damn, I picked a great week to host because God damn, I wouldn't be happy as a judge. Like, okay, so like who doesn't deserve the 10 tonight? Because I'm not seeing someone who doesn't deserve a 10 tonight. Like, everybody is excellent. Also, the sign-up list is open for next week. So if you are pompous enough to see the 4 amazing humans that touched the stage tonight and think, no, they were pretty good, but I think I can do better, bring your ass next week. Please bring yourself next week and possibly win some money. How cool of an exchange could that be? Where you can enter with, you know, like some assumptions or like mass confidence, and you could leave humbled or paid. Like, you mean to tell me I can talk shit for 3 minutes twice and get some money for it? Come next week, because the slam is going to be back here, same time, same place, with the writing workshop before it, like always, and it's going to be lit. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm just stalling.
I'm waiting on the final judge, just for the record.
I was literally just about to say that. Like, if you can't tell, I'm stalling. We're waiting for a judge to give the final score so that we can tabulate all the scores and figure out the rankings. So while I am blabbering, I might as well say something that makes sense or sounds kind of professional like. So let me sound more like a Kevin and less like a prophet. So, indubitably, my brethren and sistren, I would, I can't. Basically, please donate to our Patreon at Rich Oak Events. We are pretty much at the tail end of our fiscal year. We are in the running for a couple of grants. We are trying to, we are trying to find more sources of income so that we can continue to do this work and maybe even find ways to expand this work. But once again, we very much so need support. I have plugged the financials. I need you to subscribe to all of our socials, including our YouTube. So at Oakland Slam, at Berkeley Slam.
Colin, if you don't give me that score, I'm going to haunt you.
They have a whole ass baby though right now. So like, if y'all don't know, we have a Rich Oak baby. 2 of our organizers. Yep. That's for sure, like, worth cheering for. 2 of our organizers, 2 of my favorite people in the universe, Chardonnay and Colin, came together and had a beautiful bundle of joy, who I'm not sure if they're comfortable with the name being said publicly or not, but just know I'm super excited to be an uncle again. And that awesome bundle of joy might be why Colin is taking a bit to get the score in. So I could do like another poem or something. I could like try to like juggle 3 items at once and hope that I don't end up with a black eye. Like I can like be awkward and totally make it look like I'm not totally awkward. Like, come to our writing workshops at 7 p.m. before all of our shows. Every Wednesday, every first and third Saturday, and every third Tuesday. For the Berkeley Slam, for the Rich Oak Alchemy Open Mic, and for the Oakland Poetry Slam. I am going to do some research on some other Bay Area shows that I can promote, because I know that folks are kind of transitioning back to in-person and trying to figure out how they can do that safely. Also, Nicole, you're my heart. I just love you so much because you keep me accountable. So basically, I want to show love to all of our venues. Berkeley Slam does not exist for 20 years if not for the Starry Plough in Berkeley. Like to have such a huge uh, community that we have been building, like it would not have been possible without a supportive venue like the Starry Plough in Berkeley. So when outside opens up like all the way and like Starry Plough is like all the way back open, please support the Plough. Support the Plough. Berkeley Slam is not possible, like we can't do it for 20 years without the Plough. Oakland Poetry Slam in person takes place at the Lucas Tap Room and Lounge, which is near like, I want to say Broadway and like 18th, 19th Street in Oakland. It is an amazing venue. Before the pandemic ended, our shows were like litter than Christmas in New York City, like fucking amazing. And Oakland Slam could not have found a better home venue than Lucas Tap Room and Lounge. And they are open and they do accept takeout orders and their food is mwah! So please support Lucas Tap Room because when we can have safe in-person shows again, we would very much so like to come back. And last but not least, the venue that started it all for Rich Oak events, the one that honestly is like our mother, like the home, and that is the Alan Bluford Center for Justice in Oakland. It is an amazing venue that does amazing work. It is ran by an amazing woman. And it looks like I finally have our scores, but know that the Alan Bluford Center for Justice, when they start doing in-person events again, please support them. Alan Bluford Center for Justice, the Starry Plough, and Lucas Tap Room and Lounge, please support our venues. And also, you don't have to be in the Bay Area to support us. We have a community from all over. Nicole's in Buffalo, Maya's in Boston. So like, come as you are, come no matter where you are. We love you, we accept you, and we are happy to welcome you to our slam next week. But yeah, the East Coast really just did take over this show, and I love it. I fucking love it. Also, I hear that a slam that I can shout out is House Slam in Boston. So thank you, Arvind and Mai, for letting me know about House Slam in Boston. But here's why we came tonight. Tonight's scores finally have come. So we have, and damn, wow. So first and third place are separated by like 0.02 points. This is, wow, like y'all were heavily consistent tonight. So coming in third place, if I can get a fake drum roll. Okay, I don't know what that was, but let's just pretend it is a drum roll. Yeah, so coming in third place tonight is my, would you like to give us a word?
Woo! Hey.
Woo!
Thanks.
Welcome.
Awesome, thank you. And coming in second place is, I don't know what that is, but like I'm gonna need to stop doing it at some point. Nicole Tracy.
Woo!
Thanks. I'm gonna go to
Yeah.
bed because it's almost 1 a.m. and I have to be up for work at 7. But it is worth not getting sleep because you can always caffeinate. Shout out to the workshops. Both of my poems tonight were written in workshops, so come to them. You'll get dope poems.
fucking amazing. Thank you. And I appreciate the extra shout out of the workshops. I appreciate it. So I forgot to like give scores. So like third place received basically $20 for having a 56.7. Second place received $30 for receiving a 56.8. Yeah, we're always happy to have you, Nicole. In first place in this slam with a 56.9, I'm telling you, it was like this close. That's close, man. Is Reggie. Sid, you got something to say?
Gang.
Oh shit. What's up? Damn. Everybody was fucking amazing tonight. I think there was at least one person who wasn't, who hasn't been, or I haven't heard read at Berkeley Slam before. So I'm just going to say, you know who you are, and you know I'm gonna tell you to come back because like you were fire. Everybody was fire. Thank you. I hope to see you all like right back here next week.
Thank you so much for those kind words. And yes, I was actually trying to wait until like right before we ended the live to say that the person that you just referenced, I ain't too proud to beg to come back because like I loved every second of their poetry, and I very much so hope to hear more of it because it fed my soul, and every other poem that I've heard tonight fed my soul, which is why I am so full of happiness and of truth that I can just burst, and I'm beaming right now because of how great tonight was and how beautifully everyone expressed themselves tonight. But that has concluded our show. As Reggie said, we're going to be right back here next week. And like the sign up list just went out like a couple of minutes ago. So it is completely full. We have another $100 completely up for grabs. So we hope to see you back next week. But until then, I have been your host, Prophet. This has been your online / national slam of Berkeley. And we have been Rich Oak Events. So thank you for coming. Thank you so much for supporting. And we will see you next week. Doom, 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 doom. Doom.